Alright, hey guys, how's it going? Caesar here, and today we're going to be doing a little bit of a different video because all of my ARC footage is unusable, so I want to get something out. I've been playing a lot of Tarkov recently. As you guys can see, I have 17 days on this account. I've never played Tarkov on any other account. I have 130 hours, so still relatively new. I don't have like the best KD or survival rate, but as you guys can see down here, the total value of all items in my stash is still 27 million. So today we're going to be talking about how to make money on Tarkov, and I'm even going to show you guys a really easy way to make money if you're new to the game, without even having any of the traders leveled up and without even going into raids. So hopefully you guys enjoy, and let's get right into it. So the first thing that I want to talk about is in the .12 update, they added the addition of finding keys to jackets. So static key spawns are not the only way to obtain keys. Right now I have most of my valuable keys shoved into this BlackRock maybe, and then also my docks case. Of all these keys here, I bought a set of Kiba keys, but the rest of my keys that I have, I've actually just found in raid. So if you guys are playing the game and you're relatively new and you want to get some easy money, these things sell for a lot. This one right here was my most recent find, and if you take a look here, it sells for 680 to 700,000 rubles, which is quite a lot. Keep in mind, I have 14 million, but I have been playing a very smart way to make a lot of money. 700,000 rubles at the start of the game is going to put you in a really good spot. You can buy some really crucial items that you'll need later. As well as, yeah, so this blue keycard here. So labs keycards are worth a lot. This is actually, I believe, the second, maybe the third highest valued one at the moment. Let me go ahead and take a look. Yeah, so it's valued at about 2 million. This one I didn't find in a jacket because I do not believe that you find keycards in jackets at the moment. I think it's just in the normal spots and also in scav backpacks. So that's the other second tip that I would tell you guys for making money, is to make sure that you're always running your scavs. So in Tarkov, if you're new to the game like I am, you have your PMC, which is your main character, and then you have your scav, which spawns with random gear. You can't bring anything in to the raid with you when you're a scav, but you do spawn with random items, and sometimes those random items include really valuable things like this key card here. I've also spawned with the factory key, but cheeky breaky scav killed me, so I didn't get that one out. So let's get to the main point that I want to talk about, which is how to make money consistently. So if you're not getting lucky in finding keys in jackets or spawning with them, then the next easiest way to make money that I found is as a player or a scav. If you're new to the game, you don't have a lot of guns, you don't have a lot of keys, can't get into those really good areas, and you don't really understand the gameplay mechanics or, you know, how to PvP extremely well, is to just loot junk and only loot valuable junk. So what I do is I keep a pretty good eye on how valuable each per slot item is. So things like D batteries I don't really pick up anymore because at the moment they're only selling for about 6,500, whereas something like, I think wires is still selling around 10k. Let me go ahead and filter out barter offers really quick. Yeah, so wires here, you'll see these offers are still coming in, and as soon as I refresh, those are going to get bought up fairly quickly. So you can sell wires pretty consistently. Let me find around 9.9k is when the offers start to actually sit there. So they're around $10,000 per slot. So that's a good item to have. Another good item would be something like the Nixor, which is just like a Nikon camera lens. It's a little bit less frequent of an item that you find, but it sells for around 30,000. But yeah, so you want to keep an eye on like the values of all of the items that you find in raid, especially the common ones. Things like insulated tape is a pretty good one. It normally sells for around 12 to 13,000. Right now it looks like 14. So if I had a lot, which I do like stock up on these items from time to time, and I'll keep like 10 to 15 before I sell, now would be a good time to sell it. Another thing to keep an eye on is high demand, low stock items that'll actually increase in value depending on what time of day it is. So for a good example of that I know of is the metal cutting scissors. So metal cutting scissors, right now there's 73 offers. And you can see right now they're selling for about 42,000. This is actually about the mid-range of where they sell. I've sold metal cutting scissors in the last few days for up to 78,000 rubles, depending on what time of day it is. And they can go as low as like 20 to 30,000 rubles, so it does fluctuate pretty heavily, and you do want to keep an eye on that as well. Now all this does come with game knowledge and time spent in game, but what you're going to want to do early on is grab as many of these items as you can, these junk items, these barter items, whatever you want to call them, and keep an eye on their per slot value. And what I mean by that is this is 4 slots because it takes up 2 by 2, this is 6 because it takes up 2 by 3, and then stuff like D-Fuel, CPU fans, CPUs, blood sets, etc., they're going to take up 1. Now, obviously, some of these items are going to be easier to tell that they're valuable than others. Things like a blood set or meds, you're going to be able to tell pretty straight away because you're going to see them a lot less frequently that they're valuable. And pile of meds, I think, has actually gone down recently, so I'm going to hold on to those. But there's also a few other key items to look out for, things like gold chains, syringes sell for quite a bit, things like that. So the last way that I'm going to show you guys how to make money, and I kind of want to keep it a little bit low-key, but at the same time, I'm sure there's quite a lot of people doing it because I see it happen all the time, is just to pay attention to the prices that certain things will sell to vendors, and then pay attention to what the price is on the market. So for an example, I have a few on my wish list here, and my wish list looks kind of strange, but there's certain things like Kiba Outlet Great Door Key right here. This is a high value item. You see it's 99,000 rubles, 100,000 rubles. I'm just going to buy these straight away. Because the thing is, if you take these items and you go to the vendor and you sell, they sell for 103,000 rubles. So just on that right there, I just made a little over 6,000 rubles for absolutely no time invested whatsoever. The same can be said for other keys. I have West Wing 221 on here, which looks like it is higher than the value. I know these values in my head already. I believe this sells for 123. 205. 205 might actually be worth. Let me go ahead and take a look really quick. So yeah, 205 sells for 138. So actually, let's go take a look here. 205 sells for 138, so everything from here up I'm going to go ahead and purchase, and then I'll just sell straight to vendor, and in doing so I'm going to make a good chunk of money. And the reason that you're able to do this is because not all players are knowledgeable on how much vendors will actually pay for items. So you saw in that one I paid 124, and these sell for 138, so that's 14,000 rubles on the high end. And then I think the lowest end on one of these that I made just now was 3,000 rubles. So 3 to 14,000 times all of these keys. I mean, that's just easy money in my pocket all day. I don't know if I'm gonna get a lot of flack for doing this, because some people may see this as like me limiting the amount of these keys that are in rotation, and maybe they have an issue with that. But to that I would say, if they just paid attention and they saw how much Therapist would buy the key for, they would probably make sure that they maintained that price in the market. And there's a lot of items like that that just stay right at the vendor price. So I'm going to go ahead and sell those. And we'll move on to another item really quickly just to show you guys. And these are like the more snipe items that you want to snipe in the marketplace as soon as they become available. And then you can sell them to the vendor for more. So things like condensed milk sells to the vendor for about 18,000. You're going to see I'm probably not going to be able to get this item, but I'm going to go ahead and try anyway. See? So you have people who are buying these quicker than I am. And it makes it a little bit difficult. But the reason that is because other people are doing the same thing that I'm doing. Let's see if I can get the 1777 for you. Nope. 12,000. Alright, so I got one at 12,000. I think the guy was selling multiple, and that's why I got it. So I bought this for 12,000 and I can sell it to the vendor for 18,000. Now obviously if somebody's selling multiple at once, it's going to make it easier. There are people using bots to use the flea market and buy things quicker than a human being physically can. Unfortunately that does happen. A lot of times on the items that I'm looking at though, they're probably not being botted. There was another video that another Tarkov content creator made about how everybody's internal clock on their computer is different, so they might just be a few seconds ahead of me, which allows them to buy the key before I have an opportunity to. But with this, for example, I just made $6,700 just for buying something and selling it. An item that I can see consistently doing that is the analog thermometers, and I'm not sure exactly why, but these things consistently, like in between my scav runs, I will just buy these all day long, and I can sell them to the vendor for quite a lot. So they sell for 56,000, but you can see people are constantly selling them below value. Now this is by no means limited to just the few items that I have here in my wish list. There's a lot of items out there. What I would say is just try and find high value items, something in like the 50,000 plus range that sells right at or around the market price of what a dealer will pay for it, because when a lot of people go in, the reason that these are getting sold for something like 44,000, 48,000 when it sells for 56 is they don't care how much it sells to a vendor. They're going through their inventory and they're selling a mass amount of things, and so when they see that somebody else is selling it for 56,500, this guy says, well, I want to sell it a little lower than that, so he puts his offer in. This guy says, I want to sell it a little lower than that, and so on and so forth. And what you end up with is you end up with a massive amount of these being put into the auction house. Sometimes you see some of these as low as like 20K, because somebody just wants to offload it quickly. They don't have time. They know it'll sell instantly, because at that point it's at such a low margin that I could put it back into the market and I could make money doing it that way. But the best profit that you're going to get on this, because there is a list fee in the market, is to buy these items and then sell them to the vendors. There are probably cheaper items that you can do this with, and there are other ways to make money, but this to me is probably one of the most consistent ways to make money that I've found outside of actually doing raids. And when I'm playing solo, I prefer to not do raids on my PMC, so there is a cooldown on your scav if you're unaware and you don't play this game a lot like I just started. So you have 20-minute cooldown in between each scav run that you can do, and I like to just use my PMC when I'm playing solo to store all of my stuff that I'm not going to be selling, and then I have more inventory space for when I come back. And what I do is I take the 20 minutes in between my scav runs, I go to the market and I game it as much as I can. I check my keys first and foremost. I make sure that people are selling things at the correct price. If they're not selling it at a price that makes sense, like again, room 205 key, people are still selling it for lower than what the trader will pay for it. So I'm going to buy these again, and I'll buy this one when it comes up. If people are selling it below what therapist will pay for it, I pick those up immediately and I'll sell them back to therapist. Once these keys get to a point during the day when, for example, Kiva Outlet Great Door has a little bit of a fluctuation in its pricing, if it's later in the day and there's only one page of offers left, the price will go up. At that point, it may actually be worth to just hold on to the keys and then wait if you can see that there's a very few amount of them. And then later in the day, I've seen Kiva Outlet Great Doors being sold for as much as 200,000, and people will pay it because they want to get into Kiva. It's a very good place for loot. So you can do that as well. I'm just going to pick up this key really quickly. Let me go to 221. Just make sure 221 is at the right price. 221 sells for 139, and it might seem a little bit like it's not worth it to buy these because I'm only making like $2,000, but when you're sitting here and you're making $2,000 here, $2,000 there, and you're just making a little bit, it adds up quite a lot. Especially buying and selling stuff like analog thermometers, which, like I said, this is probably one of the more consistent items that I've seen get sold below what its value is. I can buy these, and they're not getting a lot of competition here. I can buy these for 20 minutes and I can make anywhere between 100 and 500,000 rubles just buying and selling analog thermometers, depending on the time of day, depending on the number of offers that I see, and depending on how many other people are also trying to buy those offers at that time. So it may not seem like a lot, like I'm only making $4,000 to $6,000 here and there, but when you're making $4,000 to $6,000 100 times over throughout the day, that ends up being quite a lot of money and ends up being a really good way to buy things. So doing this the last couple days, I went from, I think I had around like 5, maybe 6 million rubles, and now I'm sitting at 13,779,000. I feel like, okay, I have Kiba keys on me. I was like, I feel like I should have more than that, but I wasn't exactly sure why. Oh, and I have Sans keys as well to sell. So I'll go ahead and sell those really quick. And so as you guys can see, even though it doesn't seem like a lot because of the amount of money that I have actually made just under $200,000, and this is not by any means the most efficient way of doing this. Normally when I'm doing this, I'll check my keys and stuff, and then I'll go between analog thermometers and condensed milk, which sell, usually condensed milk you can get around $2,000 to $3,000 below value, and analog thermometers is around $5,000 to $6,000 between below value. So between the two, I'll have like 30 seconds here, I'll pop over to here, I'll buy some of these, I'll pop over to here, buy some of these, back, forth, back, forth, back, forth, and I'll make even more. But in the last 15 minutes, just buying and selling keys, buying and selling analog thermometers, and not even being as efficient as I possibly could, I've already made $200,000. So if you guys are struggling to make money in Tarkov at the moment, I would recommend that you find a couple of items like this that sell consistently below what a vendor will pay for it, or right at what a vendor will pay for it, because even if it is something that inconsistently sells below what a vendor will pay for it and you have it in your list, you can still check through, and every once in a while you'll see somebody selling it for a lot cheaper. So hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. Give you guys a couple of, good surefire ways to get your money and everything. Right now I'm contemplating buying one of these thick cases. I do see this one here and I'm very tempted to buy it, but this is what has been driving me to make as much money as I've been making lately. Let me know down in the comments. I'm not sure if this is an item that's going to kind of stay around this price throughout the wipe, or if it's just going to incrementally go up. I know yesterday it was around 13 million. And it has dropped down to 11 million, so I'm not entirely sure if I should scoop one up now or if I should wait. But yeah, if you guys enjoyed this, make sure that you let me know down in the comments section, and I'll be sure to make some more videos for you guys. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.